Welcome back to another insightful and exciting episode of Me and My Health Up. I'm your host, Anthony Hartcher. I'm a clinical nutritionist and lifestyle medicine specialist. And today's podcast is on a holistic approach to boosting your immunities. Yeah, so holistic ways to boost your immunity. We're going to be covering sleep, stress, diet, supplementations, and exercise. So it's going to be a holistic approach and how that can boost your immunity and look after your well-being in these colder months. Certainly here in the Southern Hemisphere, it has got cold and there's more cold and flus circulating than over the last, 3-4 years since pre-COVID. We have a lot of people traveling around the world, carrying a lot of bacteria and viruses with them and sharing that with others. And so this generosity of others is implicating our health and well-being at this present point in time. And yes, if you're joining me for the first time, the purpose of this podcast is to enhance and enlighten your well-being. And that's what I'll be doing for you today. So let's get into today's episode. I've just been doing some Google trending research, and in that is immune. People are looking up immunity, how they can bolster their immunity as we're going through into this winter period, right? So we've got the colder season coming in. It's all of a sudden hit us in the Southern Hemisphere. It's got really cold quickly. And yes, there's a number of people, my kids, their friends, myself, and I know a lot of people that are coming down with the cold and flu, and certainly COVID is still circulating. So I really want to share some tips to help you during this period of time. Now let's start with sleep. So why start with sleep? Well, at nighttime, our immune system is most active, okay? Our white blood cells, our immunity is most active. They're surveillancing in the whole body and they're checking out for the nasties, the viruses, the things that shouldn't be, the bacteria, and it's declaring war on these nasties. And so it happens whilst we sleep. So if we don't have a good night's sleep, if our sleep is compromised, then that compromises our immunity. And you're probably thinking, why is it happening mainly at nighttime? Well, during the day, our red blood cells are most active, delivering oxygen to our muscles to allow us to move and to do things. That's when we're most active, is during the day, generally speaking, except those that do night shift. And our red blood cells don't have a nucleus. And there's a reason it doesn't have a nucleus, because our nucleus contains the DNA material, and the body wants to safeguard that against oxidation, wants to safeguard it against radiation. And so during the day, that's where we're most exposed to radiation. At night, we have less, we're not exposed to ultraviolet radiation. We're less exposed to radiation and oxidative effects in terms of damaging our cells. And so our white blood cells are protected during the day and become really active at night. So sleep is really important. So getting a good night's sleep, what can you do to get a good night's sleep? So let me start. The most important thing from all the research I've done and is essentially around this area of consistency. Okay, so Professor Matthew Walker, in his book on why we sleep, shares that consistency is the most important. And it's around this whole thing of circadian night-day cycle and getting our body into a rhythm of consistency. And so the body gets the cues when it starts getting dark that it's time to do nighttime things, which is start to rest, relax, and to start repairing. And that's what happens at nighttime is we start repairing our cells, we start to repair our tissues, our organs, and all that regeneration sort of happens at nighttime. And that's when our immune cells are out there knocking out any cells or any viruses or bacteria that shouldn't be in our system. We want to get that good night's sleep, so we need consistency. So get to bed at the same time every night. In order to get the bed at the same time every night, have a consistent routine at nighttime to prepare the body to get ready to sleep. And so that's like clearing the mind, putting down your to-do list on paper, getting all those thoughts that are recirculating in your mind onto paper. Really, really important, okay? So that you can then say, well, yeah, I'm going to deal with them tomorrow or the next day, but they're going to get out of my mind. I'm going to allow my mind to clear. I'm going to allow my mind to wind down. Okay, really important. During this phase, you want to start reducing lighting. So the lights, you don't want a lot of white, blue light around you. You don't want to have that exposure because that suppresses melatonin production. Melatonin production is activated on our light receptors seeing darkness. Okay, so our light receptors need to see darkness, and that enables us to start producing melatonin. So really start turning down the lights, dimming the lights, relaxing, winding down. Don't do too much, anything that's too stimulating. Don't eat too close to bedtime is another key factor. When we eat too close to bedtime, it takes longer for us to fall asleep because we need our heart rate to drop. In order to fall asleep, we need our body temperature to drop to fall asleep. And whilst we've got food in our stomach, our body's very active. It's pumping the blood. It's getting, the digestion happening, getting the blood to the digestive system. And our body's working. It's working to break down those foods. And so it's not relaxing. And so that activity is going to slow your progress to falling and getting into that restorative sleep, that deeper sleep. Certainly don't eat too close to bed. Eat light at night. Light at night. Don't eat a big meal at nighttime is really key. Otherwise, if you have a big meal, you're going to need to at least wait 3 to 4 hours. And that's a long time, particularly if you're eating at 7 p.m. at night. That means going to bed at around 11 p.m. If you need to get up early, then you might not get the amount of sleep that you need. So wind down, de-stress at night. Don't consume alcohol. Alcohol really inhibits deep sleep. You end up surface sleeping. You end up reducing the amount of restorative sleep, which is what we don't want. We want our cells, our immune cells, to be very active and working really hard for us to get rid of those nasty cells, as well as they're looking for those cancerous cells and looking to destroy them. So we really want our nighttime restorative sleep. So don't drink at night, relax, enjoy a nice winding down, calming, relaxing night. And so you can wake up really energized the next day. So that's sleep. The other things that help sleep is activity during the day. So that really helps. So being active during the day really helps with the ability to fall asleep at night. And also reducing that caffeine consumption is really key. Caffeine has a long half-life, so the time it takes to break down to half the concentration, and its half-life's like 5 to 8 hours, depending on the bean, depending on how much it's roasted and whatnot. So that 5 to 8 hours, you can have if you have a coffee at midday, to get to half its concentration, it will be between 5 and 8 p.m. at night, half its concentration. So you still have caffeine circulating, and caffeine will inhibit your ability to fall asleep. Okay, so rest, relax, reduce your caffeine, cut out alcohol, eat light, be consistent. Same time to bed every night. Okay, so that's the sleep side of thing covered. Tick, okay. Now let's get into stress. Because as you know, stress affects our ability to sleep, okay? So we need to manage our stress. And the best way to manage our stress is during the day, not allowing it to build up and compounds. Because if stress is compounding and it really is really high at the end of the day, we have high levels of cortisol. Cortisol will suppress melatonin production. So we want to bring down our cortisol, which is our stress hormone. We want to bring down those levels. And the best way to do that is controlling it during the day, managing it during the day, as opposed to trying to do it all at the end of the day. And we end up taking a lot of sedatives in order to calm the body and relax us. And again, we can overdo that. And it puts a load on our detoxification pathways. Our body doesn't work optimally if we're just flooding it with sedatives and then flooding it with stimulants the next day. That cycle is a vicious cycle to get into. Stimulants during the day, sedatives at night, and that puts a load on the body. It puts a load on our detoxification pathways and can result in such as dysfunctional blood sugar regulation, can result in some inflammation because toxins are building up. And as you know, with inflammation, that leads to disease eventually, some sort of disease it will manifest into. So we really want to, we want to get on top of our stress. So how do you do it during the day? So exercise. As I mentioned, exercise is good for sleep. Exercise is also good for stress management. Okay, so making sure you're doing something every day, you're moving your body, moving the body as you like to move your body. So what works best for you? Okay, so don't do what's trending. Work to what works for you. Okay, so move your body in the way you like to move your body. Do it regularly. Be consistent with the exercise. Do at least 30 minutes a day. Okay, really doing it consistently, regularly, making it a thing, and ideally during the day. At night, not ideal. Some people need to do it at night. It's the only time they have spare, or it's the only time they really feel like exercising. They're not morning people, they're not day people, or they're too busy during the day. So at nighttime they exercise. If you do nighttime exercise, keep it light. Don't high intensity will elevate the heart rate. So elevated heart rate, as I said, it needs to drop in order for us to fall asleep. It needs to be low. It needs to be resting. It needs to be, at a resting heart rate and lower. So we certainly want, and we also need to reduce our body temperature. Obviously, high intensity exercise will elevate our heart rate, elevate our body temperature, elevate our cortisol. Okay, that's the stress hormone I mentioned before. So high intensity exercise at night is not really advisable. I really suggest you do more lower intensity exercises such as yoga, tai chi, do some walking, some swimming, but not high intensity swimming. That will better serve you. So yes, do stress management, but exercise not at nighttime. Okay. Other things, just doing regular mindfulness throughout the day. So if you notice tension building up in your body, if you notice you're getting a bit emotional, right? Emotions can be driven by too much stress. We're not coping, we're overwhelmed. So if you're feeling emotional, then certainly start getting mindful, get present. Okay, so you may be carried away with worrying about the future or the past. Something has reminded you of something in the past, and you become very non-present, and you start reliving the past situation, or you start acting out a future situation that hasn't happened. So get present, get grounded by doing something mindful. Okay, so that can be getting connected with nature, going for a walk, doing some exercise. It can be breathing exercises. It can be, what else? What else could you do? Some yoga, some tai chi. Really, what works for you? I find martial arts really mindful, needing to be very present to stay coordinated. Okay, I need to focus in order to have the coordination there, not to embarrass myself. So I find the whole martial arts thing very mindful. It's a very much a mind, body, breath connection. Same as very similar to yoga and tai chi, except it's probably got more of that high intensity aspect to it. So again, I try to avoid doing that late at night. So doing mindfulness activities, and again, if you're getting stressed during the day, just going to your breath, slowing your breath down. Okay, connecting with your breath. That's really helpful. Taking your shoes off, walking in the park. If you can get down the beach, if you're close to the beach, go for a walk at the beach. Walk with a friend. Call up a friend. Watch some comedy. Just things that really ground you, free up you, the lightness, make you feel connected. Do these sort of things to manage your stress throughout the day. Don't let it compound. I've given some other tips before in terms of shifting your perspective. So if you're only seeing the negative in something, look for the positive. Ask yourself, how is that event? How is that behavior towards you, or whatever someone did towards you? How is it serving you? How is it helping you? How is what's going on in terms of what you're concerned about? How is it helping you? Okay, so again, I've mentioned probably in previous episodes about people are very concerned about the rising cost of living. It's quite a stressor at the moment. Mortgages, interest rates are rising. Okay, then think about, what are the benefits of rising interest rates? What are the benefits? One of the benefits is if you've got savings, your interest income goes up. Okay, so you're getting more interest income coming in. So more income in relation to interest. Your interest-bearing accounts will give you more interest. Other aspects is it draws your attention to your finances, and you get better at managing money. You start looking at your budget. You start scrutinizing and questioning what you're spending your money on. And then you start cutting unnecessary things that you're not using, such as you might not be using a subscription to a streaming service. You might not be using it as much anymore. We're out of COVID. You might not be watching TV. You might be going out with your friends more. So you're thinking, I could probably do without that. And so you cut the streaming subscription. That helps reduce your cost base. Then you might start thinking about some creative ideas to making more additional income. You might start a side hustle. And so there's benefits in terms of the rising cost of living and getting it to focus on your finances, getting you better at managing money. You might do a course and educating and empowering yourself on how to better manage money. You might listen to podcasts around financial management. It will empower you and serve you for life. You'll start saving more as a result of this because you're cutting your costs. You might be getting some extra income, or you might negotiate a pay rise as a result of this. It might force you thinking, well, I'm due for a pay rise. I haven't had a pay rise for years. I'm working really well. I'm hitting all my targets. It's a tight job market. I'm going to ask my boss for a pay rise. Again, it starts getting you to focus on it, to start taking action. And if you take action, you're going to get results long term. It's going to result in long-term benefits. And so it's not all negative about rising costs of living or rising interest rates. Okay. So I just wanted to share that's another way of balancing your perspective, reducing the emotion, reducing the stress is by looking at what you're not seeing. If you're seeing all positive, then what's the drawback? How is it disserving you? And then you'll start to balance it. You'll balance your emotions so you don't get blinded to not seeing a potential risk. And if you saw it all positive, such as cryptocurrency, some people saw cryptocurrency as all positive and then realize in hindsight now that it wasn't all positive because it does crash. It just like any other money market or investment scheme, it has cycles and it has ups and downs. So it's not all up. Not all up all the time. A lot of people learnt that with cryptocurrency. And so if you saw only positive with crypto, then you would have asked yourself, what are the drawbacks? What am I not seeing? How is this of disservice to me? Maybe I don't know much about how it works. Maybe I need to investigate. Maybe I need to seek expert financial advice or someone that knows what they're talking about, get their input, get their advice. And if you had to sought that advice, then you probably wouldn't have put so much and lost so much in the crypto. Okay. So again, everything has a counterbalance to it. And we just need to ask ourselves, what is that counterbalance? And that will calm us and that will help us see more objectively, help us make more rational decisions. Okay. So that will also help managing your emotions, managing your stress. What else can you do to manage your stress? Stay connected with friends. Reach out, catch up with friends, invest time into being with your friends, building a deeper relationship with your friends, because having that companion, having that someone you can talk to and just share how you're feeling and just knowing that they're listening and that they're there for you helps lighten your load. Okay. And makes you feel more connected. It makes you feel that you still belong, makes you still feel worthy, helps prop you up when you're feeling down. Okay. So all these things can really help you manage stress. Now, the reason why I'm talking about stress, not only it implicates your sleep, which will implicate your immune system, stress in itself will implicate your immune health, right? So when we're stressed, our immune system is downregulated. It is less resources and energy go to running the immune system. It's more about trying to keep you alive in that fight, flight, or freeze survival mode. Okay. So we want to manage our stress. So we got to balance. So we have our active immune system working. We can still hit our goals by having managed stress as opposed to out of control stress. And the other thing I want to mention around stress is when you might take on too much. And so when you take on too much challenge, you feel overwhelmed. And so then you want to increase the support to match the challenge. Okay. So then if you're feeling over challenged, then reach out for support, get help to balance it. So you've got a nice thing of growth. So you've got a bit of challenge, but you're able to meet the challenge and you're able to grow with it, as opposed to feeling overwhelmed and feeling that it's too much and you actually pull away, you actually withdraw, you actually run away. Okay. That's not healthy. Okay. Because that can lead to depression when we perceive way too much challenge than the amount of support we've got. We want to get a balance there between challenge and support, and then we will grow. We will thrive in that instance. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, over challenged, then reach out for help to loved ones. Ask your boss, say, look, I've got too much on. Can you help me prioritize? I need to reprioritize. It's just overwhelming. I'm not going to hit any of the deadlines. Please help me. I need some resources. So talk up, speak out, talk up, get help, and help you not feel overwhelmed and not feel overburdened and not feel that sense that you're not coping, because that's when you get to that not coping, it can cascade in terms of then you start questioning your self-worth and you start thinking, I can't manage, I can't cope, I'm hopeless. And then, you start, putting yourself down, and then that cascades down and down and down, and you start getting quite depressed. And so that is certainly when you're very susceptible of getting overwhelmed with infection and whatnot, because we have quite a depressed immune system because of the overwhelm with the stress. Okay, so we want to manage our stress. We want manageable stress. And in order to manage that stress, sometimes we need to ask for support and get help so that we can cope and we can thrive ultimately. We can grow with the stress as opposed to shrinking from the stress. Okay, so that's the stress side of things. I've covered the sleep side of things. What am I going to go to now? I've mentioned exercise before when I was talking about ways to help with sleep, ways to help with stress. I mentioned exercise. They help both areas, but they help you sleep. They help you with your stress management, and also exercise in itself helps bolster your immune health. Now, I need to put a caveat to this, is that over-exercise doesn't. Over-exercise creates too much stress on the body. It overwhelms the body. It suppresses immune health. So those professional athletes are constantly getting challenged with colds and flus and illnesses because they exercise a lot and not enough recovery. There's not enough rejuvenation. It's just too much oxidation, too much stress on the body. Their immune system gets overwhelmed. So you want to find that balance between enough exercise, but not too much. Too much exercise will lower your immune health. Okay, so you don't want to over-exercise. You want to find the Goldilocks, the just right. Not too much, not too light, just right around the exercise. And as I said, do exercise that works for you, that you like, that works for your body, and you like doing it, because that's why you'll do it every day. You'll be consistent with it. And what they've found through studies is that through exercise, it increases natural killer cells surveillance. Natural killer cells are part of our immune system. They're a surveillance system. They're going out, they're looking, they're detecting for abnormal cells, things that could be potentially cancerous, destroying them. Okay, they're looking for viruses, destroying them. And so exercise boosts our natural killer cells. So does laughter, actually. So there's been studies to show that regular laughter, so obviously that lighter side, turning on that parasympathetic system, which is that rest and digest, which is what we do at nighttime. Parasympathetic system is very active at night. It can be activated through exercise. Again, not over exercise, but enough exercise. It can be activated through laughter. And so that parasympathetic nervous system is really supportive of immune health. And we need to balance it. We need to balance the doing with the sitting still and being relaxed. Essentially, we need to balance doing and being relaxed, and being comfortable with stillness and not doing. Not achieving. Again, we have this society that's very focused on achieving and overachieving, but ultimately that's detrimental to our health. We need to find the balance, and it's a balancing act. And this is what I'm helping you with, okay? Helping you find the balance. So in terms of exercise, do what works for you. I mentioned various types of exercise. If you're doing high intensity exercise, then make sure you do that during the day. At night, not ideal. I mentioned that. Do more restorative exercises at night. During the day, more cardio, high intensity. And so I wouldn't be doing high intensity after 5 p.m. ideally, because it can take up to 3 hours to wind down. Okay, it's a bit like overeating. It can take that 3 to 4 hours, heart rate to drop, the cortisol levels to drop, the body temperature to drop. Okay, and that's what we need to happen in order to fall asleep. But not doing, again, eat light at night, exercise light at night. Okay, that's probably the key. Doing it light at night in terms of getting a good night's sleep, and that's serving your immune health. Beyond exercise, what else can you do? There's obviously nutrition. Let's talk nutrition. Nutrition and supplementation. They go together. So we'll talk about food as medicine first, and then we'll get into some supplementation. So what helps our immune system? What does our immune system need? It needs protein. It is the backbone of our immunoglobulins is protein. So we need to have adequate protein in our diet. So make sure you're having protein throughout the day. 3 meals a day, or if you're having 2 meals a day, make sure you have adequate protein. If you're having 2 meals, then there's a snack in there. Make sure it's a protein-based snack. snack. Okay, so make sure you're getting protein. And again, with anything I say, not too much, not too little, just right. Okay, on average, generally speaking, 1 gram per kilogram of body weight of pure protein. So if you weigh 70 kilos, 70 grams of pure protein per day, generally speaking. Again, it's if you're not doing much weight bearing exercise, then it's around 0.85 grams per kilogram of body weight. If you're doing a fair bit of weight bearing exercises, a lot of resistance training, then it's up to anywhere between 1.2 and 1.4 grams of pure protein per kilogram of body weight. Okay, so making sure you get your protein from good sources of protein. So you want lean cuts of meat. You want whole foods. So if you're a vegetarian or vegan, then making sure you're getting it from whole grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, making sure you're having a mix of those as a vegetarian or vegan, because you need that mix, that combination, in order to get all the essential amino acids. Those that have meats contain all the essential amino acids. Again, eat lean meats and have a high fish consumption, to complement it. Don't have more other meats. Actually, you probably want more weighted towards seafood because you're also getting your good fats as well. Now, the other thing, so you got your protein as the backbone of your immunoglobulins. Then you want to make sure you're having like your vitamin C, which you probably heard about, is really helpful. In winter, the fruits are rich in vitamin C, such as oranges, right? Oranges, lemons. What else is available? We have kale available. We have the broccolis. We have, what else do I know? Apples, for example. So apples have vitamin C. They also have quercetin. Quercetin helps with immune regulation, so that is also beneficial, particularly those that suffer any allergies. Have an apple a day, bit of vitamin C, bit of quercetin. So that's really beneficial, having those fruits which are available, seasonally available in winter: oranges, mandarins, lemons. Okay, what else could you have? Vitamin D is really important to immune health. So vitamin D, we can get some from some foods. So dairy foods have vitamin D in them. Fish, so oily fishes. So your mackerel, sardines, herrings. What else? There's the salmon, tuna. Those oilier fishes contain the vitamin D. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, so you'll find it in fats. So you want to make sure you're having full cream milk because it has the fat component, right? And that's where the vitamin D is. You want to make sure you're eating the oily fishes because it's in the fats. So making sure you're consuming those foods, and then on top of that, getting some sunlight during the winter months. And if you can't achieve any of that, or only can get a bit of that, then a bit of supplementation, vitamin D supplementation, 1,000 IUs per day, 1,000 to 2,000 IUs per day, but it really is person to person dependent, depending on what you're getting through your diet, how much sun exposure you're getting or not getting. So certainly supplementation, about 1,000, 2,000 IUs per day. Now, vitamin C, if you want to supplement that, and if you might think that you're not getting enough through your diet, then making sure you're having around 500 milligrams per day, up to 500 to 1,000, depending on your immune strength. Okay, you will understand your immune strength. If you're constantly getting colds throughout the winter months, then you probably want to be having up to 1,000 milligrams per day. If you're sort of rarely get a cold, then anywhere between 250 milligrams to 500 milligrams of vitamin C per day. If you get a cold, then you can up that to 1,000 to 3,000 milligrams per day. Okay, if you're not sure, then consult a clinical nutritionist, and the host, Anthony Hartcher, is your man, the healthy man. So certainly come and see me if you want some further guidance around the supplementation side of things. What else can help you beyond vitamin C and vitamin D is zinc. Okay, zinc. So where do you find zinc? You find zinc in nuts, seeds, whole grains. Zinc is in meat. Okay, so meat, nuts, seeds, whole grains, legumes contain zinc. Okay, so make sure you're having good amounts of those protein sources. So zinc is bound to protein, so making sure you're having those those various protein sources to get your zinc. So in terms of zinc, around supplementation, if you're not eating much protein, which I suggest you do, it's the building block of life. You need to be eating protein. But if you're worried about the amount of protein, then maybe have a protein shake. Have a protein shake each day. That will up your protein. Also, if you want to supplement, you're looking at 25 milligrams to 50 milligrams per day. 50 is on the high side. That more sort of maintenance side is around anywhere between 15 and 25 milligrams per day. If you're not sure, see a clinical nutritionist. Okay. Yeah, so they're probably the main vitamins, minerals, and macronutrients that really help around immune health. Ideally, get it from food and supplement where necessary beyond that. And if you're needing further support around a particular immune health issue or concern, then certainly reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you out, happy to serve you and help you along your health journey in a personalized way. So please reach out to Anthony at me&my.wellness.com.au and I'll be here to serve you and your immune health needs. And please share your insights as to what you'd like to learn about more in the Me and My Health Up podcast. Also email me your thoughts, your feedback, what you're liking, what you're not liking, any particular guests you'd like me to get on the show, or any particular topics you'd like talked about, discussed on the show. Please give me feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions, and I'm seeking feedback. And I hope you really enjoyed today's episode. Please like and share it with others. Get it out to as many people as possible. My mission is to enhance and enlighten the well-being of others, and this is one of the mediums I use to do that, and I want to get to many people and help as many people as I can. So please share this episode with others, or other episodes that you find that would be of interest to your family or friends. Please share them with them, and have a great rest of your day, evening, week, season, and year. And until the next episode, which will be next week, take care and live in good health. Bye for now.
Podcast disclaimer. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it do not constitute medical, healthcare, or professional advice and are provided for general information purposes only. All care is taken in the preparation of the information in this podcast. Connected Wellness Proprietary Limited, operating under the brand Me and My Health Up, does not make any representations or give any warranties about its accuracy, reliability, completeness, or suitability for any particular purpose. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it are not to be used as a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, psychiatric, or any other mental health care or healthcare in general. Me and My Health Up recommends you seek the advice of a doctor or qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Inform your doctor of any changes that you may to your lifestyle and discuss these with your doctor. Do not disregard medical advice or delay visiting a medical professional because of something you hear in this podcast. This podcast has been carefully prepared on the basis of current information. Changes in circumstances after publication may affect the accuracy of this information. To the maximum extent permitted by the law, Me and My Health Up disclaims any such representations or warranties to the completeness, accuracy, merchantability, or fitness for purpose of this podcast, and will not be liable for any expenses, losses, damages incurred, indirect or consequential damages, or costs that may be incurred as a result of the information being inaccurate or incomplete in any way and for any reason. No part of this podcast can be reproduced, redistributed, published, copied, or duplicated in a form without prior permission of Me and My Health Up.